Imagine stepping into a space that doesn't just show you things, but actually makes you feel something.
Right.
You feel the temperature change, you hear that subtle sound of airflow. You're not just looking at a static display, you're immersed.
Fully immersed. We've seen these amazing high-end experience centers, like that one in Washington we looked into, that use this multi-sensory storytelling.
And it really works, doesn't it? It moves beyond just making you curious. It actually builds conviction.
It does. It's powerful.
But here's the big question, especially for you marketing and operations leaders listening. What if every little thing, a sigh, a pause, where people look, even the questions they don't ask, could give you really valuable insights?
Exactly. Insights you could act on.
Something to make that experience even better, more effective, maybe even more profitable. Okay, let's really unpack this. Stop guessing, right?
Yeah, for too long. Managing that physical customer experience.
Yeah.
It's been based a lot on intuition, maybe some observation, perhaps those post-visit surveys.
Which often miss the real-time stuff.
Completely. So our mission today is to show you how to get past the hunches, the gut feelings, and really fine-tune what happens in these vital physical spaces.
Using data.
Using actionable, real-time data. We're going to dive into what we're calling the speak and listen model. The idea is your showroom stops being just a one-way presentation.
And becomes more of a conversation.
Exactly, a dynamic conversational space. So for all you leaders out there, this deep dive is about transforming those traditional, often kind of silent showroom designs.
Where you get very little feedback.
Right, into these intelligent, analytics-driven environments. Places that give you continuous improvements, iterative changes, and crucially, a clear return on investment.
Think of it like your showroom becomes a living lab. A lab for understanding your customer. Because let's be honest, the old way, the traditional showroom, it often feels like guesswork, doesn't it?
It really does.
We've all been there. You spend ages crafting this beautiful space. You lay out the products just so, design the signs, and then you just cross your fingers.
Hope for the best.
Yeah. You don't really know what grabs attention. Why do people just zoom past that area you poured money into?
Or why are they lingering over there, somewhere unexpected?
Yeah, it's like trying to hit a moving target blindfolded almost. You rely on anecdotes, maybe a survey later, but you miss what's happening in the moment.
And it's precisely that lack of data, that limited feedback loop, that's the real challenge. Without some way to actively listen, even the best design spaces might be underperforming because you just don't know what specific part of that experience is landing, or maybe more importantly, what's falling flat.
You're just guessing, and guessing is expensive.
It is. And it raises a big question for any business leader. How much potential, how much insight into that customer journey are we just leaving on the table by not really understanding how people behave in real time, in our physical spaces? We invest so much creating them.
We should make sure they're working as hard as possible.
Every single ounce of value.
Yeah. Okay, so if the old way is like using a blurry map, what happens when we get, I don't know, high-def satellite imagery? Not just where people go, but how they react, what they really engage with.
Well, that's the promise, right? When you start integrating advanced analytics.
Which brings us to video and audio analytics.
Exactly. But don't just think cameras and microphones in a creepy way. Think of them more like your strategic intelligence unit.
Okay.
Quietly listening, watching, gathering the data that can totally transform how you perform front stage.
What's really cool here, I think, is that it goes beyond just screens and sensors. It helps us understand the human experience.
That's the core of it. Like in that Washington Center example, the analytics weren't there to police people.
No.
It was about learning, about developing empathy for that customer journey in a way we just couldn't before.
So how does it work? The video side.
Okay, so video analytics uses cameras, obviously, but it observes movement patterns. Which zones do people walk past? Where do they actually pause? How long do they linger at that specific display?
Do they stop at the edge or really step inside?
Precisely. Even subtle things like the angle of their gaze, maybe slight shifts in posture that could indicate engagement or boredom.
And the audio.
Simultaneously, you've got audio sensors. They're listening.
Yeah.
Is that narration actually being heard, or is it just lost in the background noise?
Like if a group is chatting excitedly versus someone quietly focused.
Exactly. That's what we call soft signals. These subtle shifts in sound, or maybe a visual cue, like everyone suddenly turning their head.
Or a burst of conversation.
Right. They signal a moment of real connection, or maybe disconnection. They might seem quiet, but they tell you so much about human behavior in that space.
That is fascinating. So back to the Washington Center. Once they started using these tools to listen, what did they find? What were some of those maybe eye-opening results?
Oh, absolutely. They found things that led to real, tangible changes. It wasn't just theory.
Give us an example.
Okay, so take their cold weather demo zone. The video analytics showed something unexpected. Lots of people paused right at the entrance, but they often didn't actually go in. They hesitated. And the insight wasn't just that they missed the audio narration. It seemed more like a visual thing. Maybe the transition felt too abrupt or stark.
Almost intimidating.
Possibly. Like a psychological barrier.
Yeah.
So the team didn't just note it down, they acted. They totally rethought the signage, tweaked the lighting, moved some key elements around inside the zone.
To make it feel more inviting.
Exactly. To kind of psychologically pull people in, make that experience feel accessible before they even consciously decided to step over the threshold. Soften that sensory entry point.
Wow. Okay, what else?
Another great one was the air quality and filtration area. People were definitely interested, but the team noticed a huge number of questions about it were coming after the visit. Follow-up calls, surveys.
So not in the moment.
Right. Which suggested they weren't just missing information in the showroom, they were maybe processing it incorrectly or incompletely, right then and there.
Information overload, maybe?
That's what the analytics pointed towards. Cognitive overload. The way the info was delivered may be too dense, just wasn't sticking immediately. It led to this delayed reaction.
So what did they do?
They added much clearer narrations, for one. Broke down complex ideas into smaller, easier to digest audio bites, and they even fixed the speaker placement to cut down echo, make sure the sound was crystal clear.
Shifting from just presenting info to actually engineering comprehension.
You got it.
Yeah.
And the result? Way more questions during the visit.
Yeah.
Which showed much better engagement. People were understanding it in the moment.
That makes sense. Any other examples?
Yeah, a subtle one, but important. Crowding. In their live demo areas, people sometimes had to wait. You'd get overlapping voices, just general background clutter.
Which can be frustrating.
Totally. So video analytics measure the queue lengths, show them the bottlenecks. Audio sensors picked up the ambient noise levels.
And with that data,
They made smart operational tweaks, like scheduling similar demos at different times or adding staff during known peak periods. It just smoothed out the whole visitor flow, improved the experience massively, turned potential frustration into something seamless.
those are fantastic, specific examples.
Yeah.
But let's talk bottom line. For the marketing and ops leaders listening, the big question is always ROI. These weren't just nice-to-have tweaks, right?
Oh, absolutely not. The impact on key metrics was significant, and it translated directly to ROI arguments.
Like what?
Well, first, increased dwell times. People literally stayed longer in those redesigned zones. Some dwell times went up by nearly a third after they made the changes.
And more time equals more opportunity for engagement.
Exactly. Deeper brand immersion. Second, much better engagement with the content. More people actively listened to the narrations, triggered more interactive elements.
Meaning the brand message was actually getting through better.
Right. Stronger message absorption. We also saw, interestingly, improved staff satisfaction.
How?
Because staff could anticipate busy periods. They knew when to activate certain hands-on zones. They avoided standing around idle. That's a win for efficiency, sure, but also for the employee experience. Less stress, more productive,
Good point.
and maybe most crucially, greater information clarity. Visitors left feeling more informed, less frustrated, and importantly, more likely to explore other offerings or ask for a consultation.
Which leads to higher quality leads.
Higher quality leads, better customer experience overall, and that definitely impacts potential sales and builds that crucial future loyalty.
So it really is about building a better relationship, not just showing off a product, turning casual visitors into real fans maybe, cultivating loyalty.
That's a great way to put it.
And this isn't just for, climate control tech companies, right? This thinking applies way more broadly.
Oh, completely. The principles are universal. They tap into fundamental human behavior in physical spaces. Think about car showrooms. Imagine knowing which car interiors people open first, or whether those cool ambient engine sounds or safety narrations actually hold their attention.
That could change how you lay out the floor, what features you highlight.
Everything. Inform model placement, marketing campaigns,
Yeah.
knowing precisely what draws people in. Or think about furniture or lifestyle brands.
Yeah.
Which room setups do people instinctively photograph or share on social media? Which lighting, which acoustics actually make them linger and feel comfortable?
That drives longer consideration, that emotional connection.
Exactly. And even in places like wellness clinics or healthcare settings.
Where calmness is key.
Right. You could measure which waiting room layout or soundscape genuinely lowers stress. Identify where you need quieter zones. Understand which background audio helps with patient information clarity.
So the common thread, regardless of industry.
Is using real-world behavior data to optimize that physical experience. Make it more effective, more enjoyable, and, let's be frank, more profitable.
It sounds incredibly powerful, but, for a leader listening, thinking about their own showroom, the idea of a massive tech overhaul, sensors everywhere, it can feel a bit daunting.
It can seem that way, yeah.
How do you advise them to make that shift from static displays to this analytics-driven approach without getting totally buried in data or feeling like they need a huge, complex project?
It's definitely simpler than it sounds, and the sources we looked at give some clear practical advice. First big thing, start small.
Don't try to boil the ocean.
Exactly. You absolutely do not need every possible sensor from day one. Don't get overwhelmed. Instead, pick just one or two hotspots, or maybe problem zones in your current space.
Like an area with low conversions or where people always seem to get stuck?
Perfect examples. Deploy just a limited set of sensors there, maybe basic video and audio. Gather data for a few weeks, then make one or two really targeted changes based only on that data, and then measure the impact rigorously.
So it's iterative.
Yeah.
Low risk.
Very low risk. It builds confidence internally, gives you that tangible proof of concept before you think about scaling up.
Okay, what else?
Second, invest in good content. Seriously, the analytics are only as good as the experience they're measuring.
Garbage in, garbage out, basically.
Pretty much. Make sure narrations are clear, audible, well-lit, keep it fresh. If the content isn't compelling, the analytics will just confirm that nobody's engaging with it. Good content is key to getting those meaningful soft signals.
Makes sense. And the last piece.
And this one is absolutely crucial. Respect privacy and be transparent.
Tell people what you're doing.
Yes. People are much more comfortable, much more trusting if they understand what data is being sensed, why it's being collected specifically to improve their experience, and how it's being used.
So clear communication builds trust.
It's fundamental, essential for long-term success and getting people on board, both customers and staff.
That's a really strong point. It becomes this continuous learning process, doesn't it? An ongoing conversation where you're really listening to what visitors are showing you with their behavior.
Not just what they tell you later in a survey.
Right. It shifts the whole dynamic from just presenting stuff at people to truly understanding them and then improving things step by step.
Precisely. And a showroom that speaks and listens,
Yeah.
it's just so much more than a collection of objects on display.
It becomes a conversation.
A dynamic, evolving conversation with your customers. A space where they feel seen, understood, maybe even inspired. Using video and audio analytics isn't just about building a showroom. It's about building a space that learns, evolves, and really resonates.
And that is how you turn those fleeting visits into real loyalty.
And get demonstrably better business outcomes at the end of the day.
So something for you, our listener, to think about. What are those silent conversations happening right now in your showroom or your main physical customer space? What are people telling you without saying a word? And what game-changing insights might you be missing because you don't have the tools to truly listen to those unspoken cues, those subtle signals? How could understanding those silent messages completely redefine your customer journey and maybe unlock whole new levels of success for your business?